This is the plaintiff, Jennifer Kleinow. She says she rented an apartment from the defendant, and now that she's moved out, he's making up all these so-called damages so he doesn't have to give her back her security deposit. When she complained and told him she was going to have to take him to court, he told her she is poor and can't afford half the lawyer he can. He doesn't know who he's tangling with because she's done her research, and now she has every right to sue him for double her security. And that's why she's seeking $3,700 here today. This is the defendant, Arkadiusz Tansy. He says the plaintiff assured him the apartment was in perfect condition when she moved out, but when he inspected the place, it was filthy, disgusting, a pig pen of a mess. Due to the extensive damages to the apartment, he has every right to keep her security, and that's just what he did. He's accused of taking it out on a tenant.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says the defendant is making up all sorts of bad stuff she supposedly did in the apartment so that he doesn't have to return her security. But the defendant says the apartment was a pigsty. It's the case of Piggly Wiggly.
Okay, Ms. Kleinow, thank you, Douglas. You are suing Mr. Tansky, your former landlord, for $3,700, double the security deposit that he refuses to return because, according to you, he is inappropriately holding on to it. Tell me what you are talking about. What happened?
Correct. To start off, I moved in December of 2010. Everything was great until Sandy. We had a hurricane it devastated our whole East Coast, as you know. Luckily, we really had not that much damage. Then after that was a flood. No, in August, he called to say he couldn't renew the lease.
Why?
He said that he was in a financial bind, that he was getting
the place for himself.
Yes, he was.
So he didn't renew your lease, and you had to find somewhere else to go.
Yes.
And when it's time to go, he has a complaint about the way you left the place.
Right. Before that, there was a huge flood in my house. One of his main water lines broke.
Okay.
I lost everything in my basement. I'm a nursing student. I'm in my last quarter and I have 2 kids. I'm a single mom. So I work very hard for everything I have. When I told him that I lost all my kids' winter clothes and everything I have, he told me to prove it. And he's not doing anything to help me.
What do you mean? Well, everybody would tell you to prove it.
Wait,
That's not the same as telling you to.
All I asked him was for some help. I said, "That's fine. I'll help him." But when I started telling him
Wait a minute.
just
Stop. What happened with the flood? Do you have pictures of that?
No, I didn't. I just
Do you have pictures of the damaged goods?
No, I let it go. I absolutely let it go.
But do you want me to let it go? Because I don't know what it is you're saying.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely letting it go.
Okay, so let's get to what you're here about, which is he won't return your $1,850 security deposit.
Right.
The reason he won't is he says that, and we'll talk to him in a second, but he says that you left the place a shambles. So tell me about that.
So I texted him on the 30th, and I said, "What
time?" The 30th of what month?
Of October.
And that's when you moved out, right?
I moved out on the 27th.
Okay.
I asked him to do a walkthrough with me. This way, if there's anything that he needs me to do, that I can get it done for him. So I called him, and he told me, "Never mind, I can't come. I'm out of town." So then Sunday, we never did the walkthrough. That's when he texted me the list of things.
Let me see that text. What do you say is wrong with the place?
Well, the place was really dirty. There was a missing stuff. A few things was broken.
I need to hear and see proof of all of what you're saying.
Thank you.
Okay, so he sends you a text on November 3rd. All right, carpet in the living room is so dirty, can't be cleaned, that it needs to be replaced. There's a hole in the carpet as well. Show me the proof of that.
I have pictures as well.
I'm assuming your pictures make it look pristine and his pictures are close up.
Oh no, I have really good pictures as well.
You have what?
And I also offered to have it professionally cleaned.
Well, yeah, but you didn't. You can't like move out, wait, and then say, "Oh."
Well, that's why, because he's a contractor. He told me that he was going to be doing a lot of the work in the house. So before I did anything, like he was going to paint, he was going to do all that stuff. So before I did anything, I wanted to hold off to have the walkthrough because like I said, he's a contractor.
The walkthrough's supposed to be at the end. Okay.
Right. Well, that's why I moved out.
I mean, if you have that agreement with him, that's fine. But if you don't have that agreement with him, you can't
why I kept asking
you can't just
him.
do as little as possible and wait to see if he's going to hold your money.
The only thing, it was only like the rugs that were bad.
Oh, it's not only. I'm looking at a lot of pictures here, my dear. I'm looking at, what's this here?
I can't
Was there a hole in the wall and you tried to fix it?
Yeah, I fixed it and he told me not to paint over it.
All that I see is the mesh and virtually no spackle on there. Who fixed that? You did? Mm-hmm. Who did the cleaning?
I did.
Oh, not your best work. Tell me about the blinds.
So when I first moved in, him and his wife, well, his ex-wife, told me that they only put blinds up because they didn't want people looking into their home, and I can throw them away. But I chose to keep them. No, it was just like
Did you tell her that she could throw the blinds away?
She's confusing stuff. She's thinking about the blinds in the front entrance, not inside of the house.
Do you have a picture of how they looked when she moved in? Do you have a picture of the apartment before she moved in?
I mean, I have a movie, but it's on a stick.
No, but that's fine. Is that movie after she moved out or before she
Before.
moved? Who was living there at the time?
Nobody. That was
So it's empty.
That was I bought this property, I renovated this property, and I put it in the service. Everything was brand new.
I got it. So the stick is going to show me how it looked right before she moved in.
Correct.
Oh, I need that. That's very important.
there was no.
Did you leave these wheels in the back?
No, that was the neighbor that lives in the same house with me. He had a bike back
Wait,
there.
and the other side of the duplex?
Yes.
What's this a picture of?
This is a carpet
rug,
in the
but where?
basement.
Where?
On the
the
stairs
basement?
on the basement.
That looks really bad.
Those were the same rugs that were there when I came in. The basement is not finished. It was trashed like
honey,
when we came in.
listen to my question. Who spilled all that garbage on it?
No, that's been like that forever.
Was it that way when you moved in? Did your kids do it forever ago?
No,
Was it that way when you moved in?
That I really can't remember. I can't even
Yeah, that's
guarantee
kind of like
that.
integral to what you're
I
saying.
can't really
There's a hole in the
guarantee that.
carpet. That wasn't that way when you moved in.
No, that wasn't.
What's all this stuff? All these stickers and all this?
I brought that with me because when I did the walkthrough, I was just going to peel that off. It's just these
Why
little
didn't you
wall
just
clings.
listen to my question? I understand that you're struggling. I understand that you got a lot on your plate. Why don't you give yourself a fighting chance?
Absolutely, and that's
You're
the biggest
supposed to
lesson I
leave the
learned.
day you leave in October because you didn't pay rent for November, right?
No.
Right. So the day you leave, it's supposed to be pristine in the way it was pristine. It's supposed to be in broom swept condition in the way it was handed to you. It can't be so like if something happens like Hurricane Sandy, that's not your fault. But if something happens like you got stickers and graffiti, your kid takes a magic marker and writes on the walls. What do you think is going to happen? You think the landlord's going to say it's fine?
Nothing is marker. Nothing.
Well, how do I watch this? Was it marker?
That was some marker.
And you needed to what? How did you get this off the walls?
Primer and paint.
Right. See, he wants to prime and paint
Right.
because he's moving in there. So the last thing that someone in your position does is give him a chance to prime and paint on your nickel, right? But how is it you're coming up to, let me see your receipts because I want to understand how you're coming up to $1,800. And when you bought the house, it had a rug in it, right? You didn't put in the rug when you bought the house, did you?
I put the rug. The rug
Oh,
was
you
brand
did?
new.
You put in
Yes.
a new rug when she moved in?
Everything was brand new.
Okay, do you have a receipt for that?
No, I don't have this on
Okay,
me,
let
but
me
we can
see
see this
the
on the
video
movie.
that's there.
Everything brand new. All the walls painted. All the trim painted. Brand new kitchen cabinets. Brand new. New Mytech refrigerator. Brand new. All walls painted. 2 bedrooms upstairs. All walls painted. Carpets. Living room, second floor, stairs, new carpet.
When did you take that video?
Right, few days before Jennifer moved in. Visible.
Okay, we're going to give me the stick.
got it.
Courts in recess. Fabulous.
Okay, all rise.
So who's more abusive, landlords or tenants?
I believe landlords, they have more power.
They have more power, but who abuses the power more, landlords or tenants?
I actually think tenants and landlords have the same amount of power, just landlords are more aware of it because they work with so many tenants and they use that to their advantage.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
So let's talk about a few things first, okay? I looked at this on a laptop, and indeed it does have a date, and the date is back in 2010. Now, one of the things that you brought up that we haven't discussed yet, and I want to discuss it, is notice. He notified you through text, correct?
No, he didn't give me an itemized list at all. He didn't tell me anything about.
You handed me the text where he gave you an
Right,
itemized
but
list.
that's nothing. That wasn't itemized. That was before we even. He didn't tell me how much. He didn't tell me anything. And I was, doing any type of research I could, and it said that it had to be how much he was going to be taking out, how much I'd be getting back.
The statute requires that a landlord, within 30 days from the termination of a tenancy, to return the tenant's deposit, including the tenant's portion of the interest accrued thereon, less valid charges. And if not, it's doubled. That's where she comes up with the doubling. And it requires you to do that by personal delivery, registered or certified mail.
I just wanted to point out, I did highlight it in our lease. We have in the lease that it does have to be certified.
Oh, I need to see that. All right. The landlord shall inspect the property after the tenant vacates at the end of the term. Within 30 days of the termination of this lease, the landlord shall return the security deposit plus the undistributed interest to the tenant, less any charges expended by the landlord for damages to the property resulting from the tenant's occupancy. The interest and deductions shall be itemized in a statement by the landlord and shall be forwarded to the tenant with the balance of the security deposit by personal delivery, registered or certified mail. Did you do that?
No, I didn't know her new address.
But it was forwarded from the post office. If you don't know a new address, you just do it to the old address and it gets there. Did you ever give him your new address?
I had everything forwarded, and I told him to have it to send it to the old address, and it was forwarded. I did bring a piece of mail showing that all my mail was forwarded.
Okay. Let's first go over actual damage that I think that you did to the apartment that is beyond what's wear and tear. Okay. I think that the carpets are a total lost cause, and that $675 to replace the carpets is frankly quite little. I think that the place I'm with you on, if you say that stuff belongs to the neighbor, then that stuff belongs to the neighbor. There's things that I would never, but the cleaning. So if in fact, we'll put the notice issue to a side one moment, had notice been appropriately given, I would find that the carpeting, the cleaning, and some of the painting. So, there'll be a sum for that.
Now, does it matter that he told me I couldn't paint?
Clean the stuff off the walls. Okay?
Got it.
And if a carpet can be cleaned, clean it.
Got it.
And don't wait for somebody to tell you what your job is as a grown-up. It's your job as a grown-up. You know that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Your Honor?
No. Let me tell you what your job is as a grown-up. If you want to get all legal on people, you ought to know what the law is. You ought to know what's in your contract, and you ought to know what the lease requires. Okay? So what is required is for you to give notice of what you're keeping in a certain way. And then what the law requires a court to do is that what you keep over and beyond what you are entitled to keep now gets doubled as a punishment to you for not notifying the way the law requires you to notify. Do you understand? That's why I went through the analysis first. Because if I find that $925 could have appropriately been withheld, all right, then my job is to take the $1,850 you gave him, subtract the $925. Oh, isn't that a happy coincidence? It's exactly half. That would mean that if he had notified you appropriately, I would only be ordering a judgment in your favor in the amount of $925. But because he didn't notify you appropriately, the statute requires me to take the part you wrongfully withheld, which I find happens to coincidentally be $925, and double it. Therefore, I find in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of the $1,850. That is my judgment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, here he comes. The defendant has just learned his lesson in court on the law.
I think the justice wasn't done over here, so I'm not happy, of course.
No, of course not. But you understand that you didn't provide notice in the legally appropriate way.
Yes, I do.
Right? Why didn't you?
Well, I just didn't.
Next time?
I didn't have her address, and I didn't think that I can just put into her old address.
There's your mistake. And so next time?
Probably there won't be next time.
Yeah, all right, right down this way. All right, so on that legal, not really a technicality, but you have to know the law. Apparently you did.
Absolutely.
How are you feeling here coming out here?
I'm happy. I learned that the best part of life is knowledge, and you could be poor and still be smart.
That's good. You did leave the place and, you should have done a better job, even according to the judge. You had more responsibility here. You got bailed out on a legal thing.
If that's what you like to call it.
Right. I mean, could you have done a better job on that place?
I think we both could have done a better job.
All right. All right. Good luck with everything. Harvey?
So, we always talk about normal wear and tear. The fact is, it's a very subjective thing. The longer you stay in an apartment, the more leeway a tenant has in terms of how he leaves the place. If you're there for 10 years and the place needs repainting, it's probably not something the landlord can dock you for. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.